This car I'm driving is unique, certainly unique as far as its manufacturer is concerned, which up until now had been the producer of largest luxury cars. Not to say that this car isn't luxurious. If David Beckham thought that he got a rough ride after his sending off in the World Cup, it was nothing compared to the hounding that this car received from the world's media after it was tripped up by the Swedes and fell over. And this is the all-new, all-revised Mercedes A Class, which has finally arrived on our shores. The tripping up by the Swedes was, of course, the now infamous Elk test conducted by a group of motoring writers from a Swedish magazine. It involves a sudden and violent manoeuvre to avoid an object. What happened next is motoring folklore. The A Class lost stability and over it went. Now, at that time, Mercedes hadn't started production of right-hand drive cars, so there were none in this country, but it led Mercedes to a complete halt of A-Class production until a solution was devised. And what they've come up with here is probably the safest small car, if not the safest car ever built.
Mercedes spent £1 billion developing the radical A-Class, a Mercedes for the masses at a price that they can afford. And as you can see, there is nothing like it on the road today. It is so different. The Renault Megane Scenic is its closest rival in terms of its concept and what it stands for, but looks nothing like this.
The real clever point about the A-Class is its size. It's actually less in length than a Ford car and over a foot less than a Ford Fiesta, and that is no mean feat. But inside it has the space and comfort of a large family saloon, and it has the boot space of a small to medium sized hatchback. Plus, all these passenger seats are removable, allowing you to have a very large load carrying area. Now, you could quite realistically compare the interior size of the A-Class with that of the C-Class and find very little difference. In fact, you'd have the impression of more space here in the A-Class because of the tall roofline and high seating position. There's a decent amount of space and legroom here in the rear, even for passengers like me, plus a very clever idea. I really like this, an integrated child seat. You press a button there, it pops back, locks into place, and what a neat idea that is.
This model is the A160 Elegance, which is the most luxurious. Standard across the whole range are dual and side airbags, ABS, tinted glass, power steering, electric windows, and finally, a radio cassette. On the Elegance, you also get air conditioning, alloy wheels, and height-adjustable steering wheel. And as in most of the other Mercedes range, the choice of trim is classic, elegance, or avant-garde. There are 3 engines to choose from, a 1.4, 1.6 and 1.7 turbo diesel. This engine is the 1.6 and produces 102 brake horsepower from its 4-cylinder engine. 0 to 60 time takes 11 seconds and a top speed of 113 miles per hour with very good fuel economy. A figure of 39 to the gallon is quoted on the combined calculation, and the turbo diesel will give you 56 to the gallon. So, what about those other important safety features? Well, of course, there's ABS and brake assist, which works in emergency situations and helps the driver achieve maximum brake boost in a fraction of a second. ASR is a traction control system to stop wheel spin during acceleration. And finally, there's ESP, Electronic Stability Program, which unites all of the safety features, as well as reducing the risk of skidding and stabilising the car. It's ESP which was the critical addition to the A-Class, which has now made it so stable.
The A-Class range comes, as you would expect, with a choice of 5-speed or automatic gearbox, plus what Mercedes describe as the best of both worlds, a 5-speed gearbox with an automatic clutch. What's that, you might think? You're confused, I can see. Well, so was I when the car first arrived at home the other day. I could see as I jumped in it was a 5-speed gearbox and went with my left foot to put on the clutch, only to find that there wasn't one. Took a bit of getting used to, I have to say. And now that you have mastered it, it's quite an easy gearbox to work with. You have to ease off the accelerator slightly, as you would do normally with a 5-speed gearbox and a clutch, to get smooth gear changes, and I quite like the idea of it. However, if you don't want the hassle of a clutch and a gearbox, I go for the automatic version anyway. Now, if you're used to driving largish 4x4 vehicles, you think that the A Class will give you the same kind of superior safety feeling as those. Well, for me personally, it doesn't. At times, it can feel slightly nervous with a bit of body roll, but you at least know that with all the electronic safety assistance in the car, you'll be okay.
Prices for the A Class start at £14,490 on the road for the A140 Classic. The A160 starts at £15,490, and the most expensive A Class is the 170 turbo diesel at £17,890. We decided to take the Mercedes A Class to a private airstrip and really put it through its paces and see how those safety features have come over in the new car. First of all, we put it through a series of high-speed corners. Then a slalom test. There was a brake test from 70 miles per hour, which made the Mercedes stop very, very quickly indeed. And as you can see, there seem to be no problems. The electronic aids really come into play when you push it hard, especially coming out of a corner and putting your foot down hard on the accelerator.
So we all really like the style and design of the Mercedes A Class. It has some wonderful features and touches on it. Just look at that louvered sunroof, for instance. So is it a super mini, an MPV, a hatchback, or a quality executive saloon? Well, perhaps it's all of those things, and perhaps it's none of those things. It really is unique. There is nothing else like it. So who would this car appeal to? Well, certainly a young couple with a family who wanted that famous pointed badge for quality and reliability on their vehicle. My retired next door neighbour absolutely loved it, and after I'd taken him out for a spin in it, went scampering off to our local Mercedes dealer, who no doubt told him to join the 15,000 other people in the queue who apparently want a Mercedes A Class. So it's a car that attracts people from all ages and all walks of life, and that's perhaps exactly what Mercedes intended the A Class to be for.